Today we're going to make some fairy garden topped mason jars that are great for giving gifts any time of the year. So you'll need some mason jars, some actual Christmas ornaments that are plastic, the kind that come in two halves, some moss, some fairy garden miniatures, and of course a gift to add to your jar. So the first thing you want to do is use your hot glue gun to secure the band to the lid. So mason jar lids come in two pieces. And in this case, we want it to be more of a one-piece lid to build our fairy garden on top of. And then on top of that jar, you can start building the fairy garden of your dreams. So you can actually do any type of fairy garden you want on here. You just use your hot glue to add moss, to add tons of miniatures, anything you want here. And you can actually find the source for the miniatures that I'm using on the countrysheetcottage.net. Look for that link in the description for this video, and then you can use the same miniatures I'm using, or you can find some miniatures that you like as well. And as far as the moss goes, I also like to use a variety of types of moss inside jars like this. So I have a wide variety of different types of moss. Moss actually comes in bags that are assorted. If you pick up an assortment of moss, you can actually use different types and kind of vary the types within the jar. All you want to do is kind of make sure that it doesn't hang over the edges too much. You can trim that later with some scissors, but you just don't want too much excess around the edge of that mason jar lid. And then just get creative with your miniatures. I like the little mushrooms. I'm using a little bench on this one. There's some stumps. You just want to make sure that your miniatures are not too tall for the Christmas ornament that you're going to put on top. So the Christmas ornament is a plastic Christmas ornament. It comes where it breaks off into two halves. And you want to make sure that when you put the half on top of the mason jar lid, that your miniatures won't actually keep the Christmas ornament lid from going all the way down. So now we're going to put that Christmas ornament half right on top of our mason jar lid. And again, you can use hot glue to secure that into place. You just want to kind of get as much of that moss into the Christmas ornament as you can, and then press that down really well. Then you can use your scissors to trim away all the excess moss, anything that's come out of the outside. And the Christmas ornament halves actually have a hanger on both halves, and you can use your scissors to trim that away as well. And then just make sure there's nothing sticking out. Now we're going to cover all of this area with some twine and some hot glue, so you don't have to worry about it completely, but as long as there's just not too much sticking out, you should be fine. Then you can just start using your hot glue gun to make a line around the outside, and then just add the twine to the outside. And we're actually going to wrap all the way down that mason jar lid to hide that silver portion. Just using the hot glue gun to add some glue, and then just placing the twine right in the hot glue and just continuing all the way down. Now, every line doesn't have to have some hot glue, but it does help to have some, at least on the first couple of strands. And here we're getting to where that hanger is. So each of the halves of the Christmas ornament have a little plastic hanger where you would hang it on a tree. You can just actually use your scissors to just snip that off. And then when you go over the top of it with your hot glue and then some of that jute twine, it will actually hide that place, and no one will ever be able to tell that you used a Christmas ornament to add to the top of this mason jar. Now, when you just need to finish off wrapping, and as you can see here, I'm not using glue all the way around now that I'm in the center of the mason jar lid. So you just want to continue wrapping until you get all of that mason jar lid covered, just for a more finished look. Now, I'm using a rustic jute twine, but you could use something like baker's twine if you wanted something more colorful. You could even use like a colorful yarn if you wanted to. So let your imagination kind of run wild with these, but if you want that rustic look that I got, just use a jute twine. And then once you've covered everything up, so the entire band of that mason jar lid and the area where the lid meets that plastic Christmas ornament, then you'll just trim your twine with scissors and use hot glue to secure that end. And then this lid is actually ready for the top of your mason jar. So all you want to do at this point is to fill your mason jar with some goodies and add the lid to the top. Now I'm using a tall jelly jar, so it is actually a regular mouth jar, and but it's a tall jelly jar, so not the small ones, but the tall ones. You can use any size jar you want with this project. Just make sure that the Christmas ornaments you buy are the same size as your mason jar lids. And you can see the ones I purchased on the countrysheetcottage.net, so you can head there and see those. And then make a wide variety of jars to give gifts to anyone on your list this year, from graduation gifts to Mother's Day to teacher appreciation. Everyone will love these.